and should be the final section on Daoism, presented by Emily Rice. I am really sorry if this takes a long time to upload. I did not really anticipate that, but you know, life. So let's give it a good old shot. All right, this is the final part. Last time we did our true and false questions, and our last true and false question was, Lao Tzu wrote in a narrative goofy way, but we know that that's not true. We read some parts of the Tao Te Ching. So who did that? Well, I'm here to tell you that this guy, Zhuangzi, the man, the book, the legend, that's just a joke. I don't know if you've ever been like, we've ever kind of running joke around my house is that we'll see someone be like, oh yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. Well, this is the man, the book, the legend, because the book is named after him. So we know more about Zhuangzi than we knew about Lao Tzu. This is an artistic depiction of what Zhuangzi looked like. He was kind of wacky, you know. He lived on the edge. Definitely a more chaotic character, I would say. He's got some really interesting stories about him. Of just causing. He's very much like, I'm gonna cause problems on purpose. Not really, but that kind of energy. I don't know. There's a lot of stories about him like doing what wasn't expected or what wasn't compared to be normal. There's a story about how the day after his wife passed away, that he was just really kind of chill and like singing and like hanging out. People were like, dude, you're supposed to be mourning, like your wife just passed away. And he was just like, well, change is part of life. And I don't know anything about his wife. I wonder if maybe it's better to just be up with that. But anyways, he is definitely a wild card. So the book, the Taoist classic, the second most influential book after the Tao Te Ching in Taoism, is dated between the 4th and 2nd century BCE. That's when a lot of the canon was kind of coming together. So the book is composed of 7 inner chapters, 15 outer chapters, and 11 miscellaneous chapters. This first 7, we're pretty sure, was actually written by Zhuangzi himself. The other ones could have been written by some of his followers. The stories are really contradictory. They're not very serious. They're more, if you've read, we talked about the Tao Te Ching. It's more of a poem. These are more prose, and they're stories, like they're narratives, and they're comical. You know, definitely like a lot of themes that like, you know, aren't very quite traditional and formal. Not that they're not important and not formalities a weird bag, but they're not what people would consider formal. So we're gonna go ahead and read an excerpt from the Zhuangzi. This section is called The Secret of Caring for Life. And I read through them, all of them are like this, so we're gonna listen. Cook Ding was cutting up an ox for Lord Wenhu. Just that sentence alone, this is not like the Tao Te Ching. Everything else, very formal, very poetic, very, you know how like Shakespearean, or like they're like in iambic pentameter, like all the syllables are all lined up. Like this is not nice lined up. It's pretty funny. So this whole story is about cutting up an ox. At the end of at every touch of his hand, every heave of his shoulder, every move of his feet, every thrust of his knee, zip, zoop, and I didn't add those. Those were in the translation. He slithered the knife along with a zing, and all was in perfect rhythm, as though he was performing the dance of the mulberry grove or keeping in time with the jingso music. Ah, this is marvelous, said Lord Wenhu. When high? Probably? When high? We're gonna say when high. Imagine skill reaching such heights. Cook Ding laid out his knife and replied, what I care about is the way, which goes beyond skill. When I first began cutting up oxen, all I could see was the ox itself. After 3 years, I no longer saw a whole ox, and now I go all by spirit, and don't look with my eyes. Perception and understanding have come to a stop, and the spirit moves when it wants. I go with the nature makeup, strike in the big hollows, and guide the knife through the big openings, and know things as they are. So I never touch the smallest ligament or tendon, much less the main joint. So this is more of a kind of similar to, if you've ever read some of the stories of Jesus in the New Testament, he would speak often in parables. you can still see that it's talking about the natural way of the Tao, what he's talking about actually cutting off the ox, but it's a very funny kind of metaphor. And it was, even for the time, it was just kind of odd how these things are written. So all of the Zhuangzi are stories like this, and it's pretty, you know, it's really interesting, just the different way you can tell a story. Myself, just the way personality is. I don't know if you know anything about personality types. I'm really big on, I talk in big metaphors. Earlier today, I said that the 3 teachings are kind of like a potluck. You know, big metaphors to get the point across, but it's just kind of in a weird way. That's how I communicate, how I speak. These are in the same way as, like, the point's getting across. They're still talking about the Tao here, but it's in kind of a more of a story kind of format. Okay? Now, I've talked a couple of times about the immortals, and here's where I really are going to get to talk about them. So, these are some of the examples, the immortals. So, I think I talked earlier that Taoists consider, like, getting fully into the Tao, like merging with it as physically being immortal and living off nature's supplies. So there is I've thought about this the entire time I've been working on this presentation. There is a scene in the movie Kung Fu Panda, and they're all eating, and Tigress, who's one of the characters, she goes, "It said the dragon warrior can live off the dew and the natural elements of the world." And Po, who is the Panda Berry's main character, goes, "I think that we're gonna get there. We're gonna need more than dew and a universe juice." You know, like, slurps the soup, and it's funny. The point is, these immortals, they go off away from civilization, and they literally, like, eat very minimally. They eat off the land, and they're sustained. You know, like, you see, like, all kind of nutrition experts. You need all this, like, you need protein, you need some dairy, you need some veggies, some fruits, some water, but, like, the minimalism of being immersed in the Tao, like, you don't need that much stuff. People who are immortal are in these youthful, beautiful bodies. It describes how immortals have perfect, shining black hair that never gets old, and unblemished faces, and beautiful teeth, and just look perfect and otherworldly. That they're so perfect that it isn't natural, and it is most natural. Daoism. They're also described having these superhuman abilities. So some legends describe that they can fly, or they can shapeshift, or they can kind of bend nature to, like, what they want to do. They can ride on the clouds. Talks about how water doesn't make them wet, and ice doesn't freeze them, and fire doesn't burn them. They're just so in tune with everything else that they don't have to worry about that. So there have been several different, like, ways to kind of get to immortality. There are, like, you can, again, talking about earlier, the 3 treasures. If you remember way back in the beginning, we talked about Qi, which is vitality, oh my goodness, Jing, which is sexual energy, and then Shen, which is spiritual energy. There are several people who eat food that is full of active yin, which is, yang, which is the active energy. They eat foods heavy in that, and this helps them find towards immortality. There's also several rituals done in a bedroom between a man and a woman that help kind of get you towards immortality, called bedchamber rituals. And then in certain times they did try to find alchemical ways to find certain potions to, like, make them immortal. Unfortunately, a lot of those were really high in mercury. And if you know anything about Alice in Wonderland, you will know that mercury makes someone mad as a hatter. So unfortunately, we probably lost a lot of Taoists to this alchemical force forward. But yeah, the immortals are kind of like exemplars. They kind of are far from civilization, and they're just kind of doing their own thing, and they've really kind of become one with the Tao. Okay. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about in this course about what makes a religion. We shouldn't define religion, but the joke is, if you have a religion, you have to have deities. You don't act, you don't actually have to have deities, but there are certain deities that are looked up to in Daoism. So number one, and in China, number one we have we have the Jade Emperor, who is like kind of he's kind of like the high among all the deities. He's pretty cool. In China, like their rulers are called emperors, so it makes sense that that's what it's called, the Jade Emperor. There is kind of a trinity, like many religions have, based on Qi, Jing, and Qin, which are those three treasures. We've talked about that a little bit. And so then we have the kind of pantheon. We have the 8 immortals, and there are more than 8 immortals according to legend, but these guys are important. These were formerly human, now divine, almost like some like Greek and Roman mythologies that they came into deity. They're patrons of different people, so I know that there is, just kind of looking, I remember looking at it, there is one for pharmacies, or one for pharmacists, there is one for shopkeepers, there's just different saints, and so these are all of the 8 immortals: Iron Crutch Li, Cao, Lan, Old Man Zhang, Immortal Woman He, who is the one woman on this pantheon, Zhong Liquan, and Zhao Hun. Another deity is called the Queen Mother of the West. She is a mediator. She helps make magic. She's like a matchmaker for marriages. She's there for women and recluses, and she is a part of creation and destruction. She's kind of she works in creation and managing affairs of heaven and earth, but she's also like, almost like Mahadevi in Hinduism, that she is both creation and destruction, but and she's definitely a female goddess. So different sects of Daoism. It's my Midwestern accent, so I'm a little twang on that. So there are a couple of different main sects. Wow, I'm just not gonna say the word. Divisions. Okay, so the first one we've got is the Orthodox and Unity Way. This was started in the 2nd century, so it's the older tradition. Like Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, this gentleman, Zhang Daling, was said to have a vision from Lao Zai, and he told him how to set up different aspects of this part of religion. It's a focus on longevity, on actually living longer, and immortality, and then also on the Chinese deities as well. These guys have a celestial master, which is kind of like a pope. It's their hierarchy in their religion, and they're called celestial masters, which is like the coolest title like ever. Like, it sounds really cool. So the complete perfection. Oh, also I was gonna make the joke. This is also called the 5 pecks of rice set, and it's interesting. I don't have anybody around, but you get 4 more of me. You got 5 rices. My last name is Rice. I'm so sorry. I'd make the joke. Okay, complete perfection set. This was started much later by Wang Chou Yang in the 12th century. It is the official monastic order in China in the mainland, so it's much bigger. This gentleman met with 2 immortals, and he had visions of being, I believe he had visions of being trapped in kind of like an unhappy life, and he wanted to kind of move out off of that. His focus is on simplicity, and he's accompanied by 7 disciples, one of which were women also. Okay, and then popular Daoism. We've talked a little bit about how it's hard to count Daoists because they kind of pick from everything a little bit between the 3 teachings, and these are for the common folk, popular Daoism, that they'll take pilgrimages to go up to the mountains and go to temples. They will pray to different deities. They will celebrate birthdays of patrons, and I feel like it's almost like to me it sounds almost like Christian, like some people who only celebrate some people who are Christians but aren't really like invested or involved with the church. They'll celebrate Christmas and Easter, or they'll go to like specific churches or whatever on special occasions. But it's not really all encompassing in their everyday life. This is popular Daoism. And you know, it's just kind of a thing. We talk about at the very, very beginning, I don't know, way back, like 3 parts ago, there's the picture of the gentleman just in common clothes observing a ritual. And you know, that's a casual thing for people to do. That they don't have to be part of an individual sect or be completely devoted to Taoism, that they appreciate it for what it is and appreciate the culture and want to be a part of it in their life. Okay. So this is a video. I'm worried about sound and worried it's going to get copyright claimed, but this is a video of the White Cloud's Temple in Beijing. It's a beautiful temple. They're just kind of walking through it. It's a traditional Taoist temple. Again, they say Taoist in the video. Again, Tao. It's the same thing. Another video I've included is this festival chant prayer in Hong Kong. It's a festival, and they're just celebrating, and they're just kind of, you can see people there's a specific table that's laid out in a certain way, and people are, practicing drums, and they're singing and chanting, just kind of different rituals or practices. And yeah, that's it. I almost fell over. I did not. Thank you so much. This is Daoism, the way of flourishing. I think that what's important to really kind of take away from this religion is that I feel like the important key of Taoism is that to remember that you are natural, you are yourself. Like, you have the natural way in you. And that social things don't define who you are. Social labels don't define who you are. You are you and yourself, and you returning to the Tao and embracing the all-encompassing Tao will help you be kind of a better individual. It's really interesting. I've really enjoyed studying this religion. I had a lot of fun with it. This whole class has just been great, getting to learn about different world religions. We don't really think about I was going to say something earlier. It's fine. We think about the East, and there's a lot of, I feel like it's not always well represented in American culture, that we kind of change things and mess up things, and it's not fair when you really take a step back and look at what these traditions are and what they mean to people. It's really beautiful. And whether or not you believe in Taoism, or you believe in Confucianism or elements of Buddhism, or whatever you believe, it's so interesting to take away elements of that. Social roles can't, different elements of religion, social roles can be confining and really harmful. I know that I've struggled myself under the weight of expectations of others on me. And I'm a Christian, I'm a Protestant Christian, but it is nice to take wisdom from the fact that, that labels don't define you hard. There's something inside you that defines who you are. And it's just, Taoism is so beautiful, such a focus on nature in the natural way. In a time like this, modern times, some people really don't appreciate, when I say nature, I mean wilderness. Some people really don't appreciate how wonderful nature is. And I feel like it's a kind of return to simplicity, maybe needed a little bit in all of us. So thank you very much again. I hope you appreciated it. My name is Emily Rice. It is good to see you. Just going to turn my reference slide. Professor, if you have any questions, go ahead and email me. If not, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.